Okay, so now we're on season 1, episode 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This episode is called Witch. This first aired on March 17th, 1997, directed by Dana Reston and written by Stephen Craig. So this is the first episode of the show that we have where the villain isn't a vampire. The first 2 episodes, it was just vampires that Buffy and the gang were facing. Now we have something else. They're dealing with a witch this time, so it's something different. The show's called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but she doesn't just slay vampires. So we start off with this really fun and cute little moment between Buffy and Giles.
I make allowances for your youth, but I expect a certain amount of responsibility, and instead of which you enslave yourself to this cult.
You don't like the color?
Buffy is going to be trying out for cheerleading. Then we see that Buffy is once again trying to get back to her old life. At least parts of her old life. She still doesn't want to just be the Slayer. Giles is there to tell her that she can't have one because of her responsibilities and her duty and all of that.
You were chosen to destroy vampires, not to wave pom-poms at people. And as the Watcher, I forbid it.
But she still can never be like everybody else. Not that everybody else is still the same, but she can't be like other people completely. So here she's just trying to hold on to her old life still. She hasn't completely given up on it. Even though in the last episode we saw her start to accept more her fate as a Slayer.
I just want to have a life. I want to do something normal. Something safe.
Even when Buffy tries to do something that's seemingly safe, it's not, and this happens to Buffy a lot. We see this really creepy witch's lair, complete with bubbling green cauldron. We see this cheerleader Barbie / voodoo doll. Apparently they haven't seen a vampire in over a week. So then Xander gives Buffy a bracelet.
What's this?
What's that?
Oh, how sweet. Yours always.
It came that way, really. They all said that.
That's a really big move for someone that he's really only known for like a week. It's a big swing. Not only does he give her a bracelet, he gives her an engraved bracelet engraved with yours always. Yeah, so he says that it came that way, but obviously the way he's saying it, we know that they didn't all come that way. It's quite the gift. I feel like he could have gone just a little bit smaller. The point of this, along with this bracelet coming up again in the episode for another unrelated thing to this, is just kind of to show that Xander, yes, still has a crush on Buffy.
What does she think she is, a Laker girl?
Charisma Carpenter, who played Cordelia, was a cheerleader for the San Diego Chargers in 1991. Also on the board at the cheerleading tryouts, it says 1996, which makes sense because this was filmed in 1996. And we have her first introduction of Amy. So apparently she's gone through sort of a transformation recently.
I didn't know you wanted to be a cheerleader. You lost a lot of weight.
Also kind of a little bit forward for Willow to just say that right away, to be like, oh, you've lost a lot of weight. And we see that Amy seems to really like her mother.
I train with my mom, 3 hours in the morning, 3 at night.
That much quality time with my mom would probably lead to some quality matricide.
Oh, I know it's hokey, but she's really great.
Nothing weird going on there. Here we can kind of see that seemingly there's a contrast between Buffy's relationship with her mother and Amy's relationship with her mother. Amy and her mom seem to have a fantastic relationship and they connect on everything, whereas Buffy and her mom don't. And then by the end of this episode, we kind of see this reverse. And Amy is played by Elizabeth Ann Allen, who also auditioned for the role of Buffy.
That girl's on fire!
Also, I always wonder, how does this girl not realize that she's on fire? I mean, the fact that she's smoking would lead me to believe that the fire started already? Maybe not, but I don't know. It takes her a really long time to be like, oh my god, I'm on fire. And then we see Buffy's really quick thinking. She, goes to get that thing to put the fire out right away. Everyone else is kind of just standing there panicking, but she just jumps right into action. She can think really quickly on her feet. Buffy wearing the bracelet already here? I guess she just put it right on as soon as he gave it to her. So we learned some info here. One of those things is that Buffy has been slaying vampires for more than a year now. Apparently Buffy has only dealt with vampires, so she hasn't dealt with any other demons or anything like that. So these things are very new for her. They're reminding us that the reason why all of these demons and all these different kinds of mystical creatures, whatever, are drawn here is because Sunnydale is on a Hellmouth. And I always love Giles's glee in these situations. Like, he just looks really gleeful about the fact that there's a new supernatural mystery case that they're dealing with.
But that's the thrill of living on the Hellmouth. There's a veritable cornucopia of fiends and devils and ghouls to engage. Pardon me for finding the glass half full.
And then there's this iconic line.
You're the Slayer and we're like the Slayerettes.
Which just kind of shows that they feel very bonded to Buffy already. And I wonder if she thought of that name beforehand.
I laugh in the face of danger. Then I hide until it goes away.
So Buffy doesn't want Willow and Xander to be put into danger. So even after all they went through together last week, she still feels this way. I think it goes away kind of soon. She's always worried about their safety, but not at this level. Like, oh no, you guys can't help. It's too dangerous. But it is kind of like when you're first becoming friends with someone. You're not completely comfortable with them yet. And that kind of happens for a bit until eventually they're one of the gang. Then we have Joyce again. I love Joyce. So we're reminded that Joyce runs a gallery. Buffy is really just trying to get her mom interested in what she's doing.
We had tryouts today.
Oh, great. How'd it go?
I didn't actually get to try out. There was an accident. Pretty fierce competition, though.
Oh, I know you'll do fine.
And maybe part of the reason why she's doing this cheerleading thing is to try and connect with her mom. Back when Buffy was doing cheerleading, things seemed to be going well with her. Her and her mother's relationship was a lot better. You know, after she became the Slayer, that all started to change. She stopped also cheerleading, so... Or maybe it's part of, like, her trying to get her mom interested in her life again.
What was I trying out for?
I have no idea. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Your platitudes are good for all occasions.
Joyce is really distracted with her work and not really paying attention.
You know, it might not physically kill you to give me a hand.
It just feels like such a mom thing to do. You know, they'll be working away at something and then they'll get mad at you if you don't jump in to help right away, even though they didn't ask for help or you didn't even realize that they needed help, but whatever. So to be fair, Joyce does have a lot on her plate right now. She's not completely listening, but she's trying to set up her business and everything, so she's really busy.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're taking that up again. It'll keep you out of trouble.
I'm not in trouble.
No, not yet.
So Joyce is still worried that Buffy's going to slip back into her troubled ways. And now Judy did call last week to say that Buffy had been skipping school, so her worries aren't totally unfounded.
I mean, you stopped cheerleading just before the trouble, so it's good you're going back.
I love this moment here where we see that Joyce notices that she's upset Buffy, and obviously she feels bad about it, but... So Buffy is obviously trying to connect to her mom here the same way that Amy seems to be connecting to her mom. Joyce points out that she has a lot to do. If Joyce is so concerned about Buffy slipping back into her old ways, she could be making a little bit more of an effort to try and be interested a little bit. I don't know, but like I said, she's busy, so... Like, she's busy at this very specific moment. So then we see that Amy is not doing too good at cheering.
You saw that, right? That wasn't me. You saw that, right?
And then Amy's looking at the trophy case. She points out her mom's picture in there. And she also points out the cheerleading trophy. We learn some more information that Amy's dad left her mom when she was 12. We also learn here that Buffy's parents are split up. You know, Amy's saying that her mom bought her everything that she ever wanted.
Never once gained a single pound. And I can't get my body to move like hers.
So basically here, Amy just seems really jealous of her mom. And then Willow tells Buffy that Amy's mom is kind of crazy.
When her mom would go on a broth kick, Amy'd come over to my house and we'd stuff ourselves with brownies.
And apparently Willow used to hang out with Amy during junior high.
So just have to wait and see what happens. Maybe nothing will.
And then we cut to the really creepy showers/locker room. So then we see that Amy is alone in the locker room, which is kind of a mislead. You know, we're thinking, oh no, something's going to happen to Amy now. And I'm not quite sure, are we supposed to think that Cordelia is the one that's doing this? It kind of looks like that's what they're trying to make us think.
Was she wearing it? The bracelet, she was wearing it, right? It's pretty much like we're going out.
Whoa.
I should ask her out, right?
Won't know till you ask.
That's why you're so cool. You're like a guy. You're my guy friend that knows about girl stuff.
Oh, great. I'm a guy.
And then here we're basically just reminded that Willow likes Xander, and she's not happy that he just sees her as a friend. Also, like, pretty much like her going out, like, wow, Xander, does Buffy know that? So then we see that Buffy is the first alternate and Amy is the third alternate.
At least it's over. And you know what I think we should do about it? Brownie pig out my house after school.
This would never happen to my mother.
So it kind of seems like Amy's mom is being really mean and kind of crazy about Amy getting on the team. Really, she's mad at Amy's body. And then we see what is a Cordelia voodoo Barbie doll thing. And we also see her wrapping a headband thing around it. Joyce gets out her junior year yearbook.
I am not ready to know that you had Farrah hair.
This is Gidget hair. Don't they teach you anything in history?
Now Joyce is trying to connect with Buffy. We saw that earlier she saw how she upset Buffy. And so now I guess she's trying to fix that.
Maybe you should think about joining the yearbook staff. I did it. It was a lot of fun.
So she's trying to get Buffy to do what she did in high school. Kind of like Amy's mom's trying to get Amy to do what she did in high school. But of course, Buffy doesn't want to.
Oh, this just in. I'm not you. And I'm into my own thing.
This just kind of connects back to Amy and her mom. Amy's mom was a cheerleader and obviously wants Amy to be one too. Joyce was on yearbook and now she wants Buffy to be on yearbook. Also, we learned that the reason that they moved to Sunnydale was because they had to move there. Like one of the only places they could move to where Buffy would be able to attend a good school. So the whole reason that they're there is just because of Buffy. I mean, not that her mom shouldn't be doing things just for Buffy, but so something that I kind of like that we see here is that Joyce is aware. Joyce knows that she's messing up, and she's trying.
Great parenting form. A little shaky on the dismount.
How successfully, I don't know, but she's trying here. And then we see that Cordelia is off.
Yeah, that is the point. You don't have to drive it through my head like a railroad spike.
We also learn that Xander is going to ask Buffy out.
Is that even Cordelia's locker?
Huh? Oh, Friday
I
night.
have to,
So Buffy is concerned about Cordelia, which just goes to show us again that Buffy really notices things and also that she really cares. Everybody else is just kind of brushing it off or not noticing Cordelia acting obviously very strange, but Buffy like takes an interest in it and is worried about her, and one of the many reasons that I love Buffy. And Cordelia crashes her car and then almost gets run over. Buffy saves her just in time. And we see that Cordelia is now blind. And from this blinding, they figure out whoever is doing this to these girls is a witch.
First vampires, now witches. No wonder you can still afford a house in Sunnydale.
Very true. Something that I love here is that it's Buffy's idea that Amy is the witch.
they're both cheerleaders.
Someone doesn't like cheerleading.
Or likes it too much. Amy.
You know, because she figures that, oh, maybe it's someone who likes cheerleading too much because they think maybe it's someone who hates cheerleaders. Again, we just see another example of how Buffy is so smart.
I think you're underestimating the amount of pressure a parent can lay on you. They're not a picture-perfect carbon copy, they tend to wig.
And Buffy also seems to be empathizing with Amy here. The connection, you know, Amy and her mother and Buffy and her mother. I love Buffy's shirt. Xander's been checking out a lot of witch books.
You like to look at the semi-nude engravings?
Of course he is. They found this thing to test out if Amy's a witch, and they need some of her hair and some other stuff. Oh, and then the teacher in this episode, the biology teacher. Never really noticed that this is the teacher. We're going to see him in the next episode too, and I love him. So Buffy gets some hair out of Amy's bag, out of her brush. And I love that Buffy's got one of those trolls on her pencil. The thing they pour on Amy turns blue, which shows us that yes, she is a witch. And then some girl's mouth disappeared, which I always hate that. Then they notice that Amy is kind of surprised by that though, even though the test was positive.
She's our Sabrina.
Which I love. I don't know if Sabrina the Teenage Witch would have been airing yet by the time they filmed this. It started in 1996, but this was filmed in 1996, so I don't know. But certainly the character of Sabrina had been around since like the 60s, I think, in the Archie comics. So they think that maybe Amy's not aware of what she's doing, so they're gonna go see her mother and talk to her, I guess. So we see Amy go home, and she sees her mother, and the dynamic is kind of weird here right away.
Another productive day in front of the TV. I got a history report due tomorrow. Write it.
Amy seems to have full control over her mother, and the Amy here also seems much different than what we've seen of her. We also see that Amy has taken Buffy's bracelet, the one that Xander gave to her earlier in the episode. So another reason why that was done. Amy's mom seems very meek and a little scared of Amy. So then we also see that Buffy is a little bit off. She breaks her alarm clock. I guess this is supposed to show that she's kind of unaware of her own strength right now. Maybe she has a little bit more strength than usual. I don't know. But she's acting really weird at breakfast. She seems kind of manic almost. And then Buffy has a little slip up here.
There are just some things about being a vampire slayer that the older generation... It's a long story.
Basically, Buffy is very energetic and very into cheerleading. And then we see that Buffy's shoes are different than everybody else's. I think this is kind of to point out that she may look like everybody else, but she's still different than the rest of them. Also, I think just to differentiate Buffy's feet, like for the viewer when the camera's on their feet. So they all have white Adidas, but she seems to have black Converse. So she's similar to everybody else, and she may be appearing to fit in right now, but she's still very different.
Is it me or is Buffy a bit lubed?
I don't know, she seems kind of high. Later on, they say that it's kind of like the effect of her being drunk. And then Buffy just tosses a girl and again seems very unaware of her strength. So now at this moment, Buffy does seem very drunk.
You are totally and completely one of the girls. I'm that comfy with him.
That's great. That's why you're so cool. You're like a guy. You're my guy friend that knows about girl stuff.
Oh, great.
And Willow seems to be really happy to hear Buffy say this. And, to Willow, it's kind of like, getting back at Xander a little bit for what he said earlier. And also, Willow probably doesn't want to see Buffy and Xander date. So here we see that Xander doesn't have feelings for Willow at all. And that he isn't aware of her feelings for him, seemingly. And Buffy doesn't have any feelings at all for Xander and isn't aware of his feelings for her.
Any other guy would give me a bracelet, they'd want to date me. It'd be like a...
She doesn't even see like the whole him giving her that bracelet with the engraving as that. That means she's a little bit naive maybe? I don't know. Or is she just her mind is willing her not to see it or something. So Buffy is not feeling well. Giles says that the hospital won't be able to help her.
Hits the body hard like a quart of alcohol, and then just eradicates the immune system.
So I guess before she was supposed to be drunk, and that's what it was.
Because she knows I know she's a witch.
The other, she just wanted out of the running. You, she intends to
Kill.
But this always seems a little weird because, like, if Buffy hadn't been there to save that girl who was on fire, she probably would have died or horribly injured for life. And if Buffy hadn't been there to push Cordelia out of the way of that truck, she probably would have died. So, like, Amy technically wasn't trying to kill them, but she also really wasn't trying to not kill them. I mean, she very easily could have killed them. I mean, they would have been dead if it weren't for Buffy, so the other, just trying to get them out of the running. I feel like there are better ways to do that. I just wouldn't say exactly that she wasn't trying to kill anybody else. I guess she wasn't actively trying to, but she also was like, oh, well, if they die, So apparently Buffy is not drunk at all anymore. She's just hungover. She's just feeling very bad.
a couple of hours. 3 at most.
That is some very good estimating on Giles' part. They need Amy's spellbook to reverse all of the spells, or they can cut the witch's head off, so that's another option that they have.
She only became a witch to survive her mother.
Look, I don't care why, I just care that you go on breathing.
Xander doesn't care and just wants Buffy alive. This is showing us that he really does care about her. Like, yeah, we know he has a crush on her, he's got this thing for her, but he really cares about her too. We also see that Buffy has empathy, doesn't just see things in black and white, at least not right now. And she understands Amy a bit with her mom, because she's got this whole thing with her mom going on right now too. I mean, Buffy would never go that extreme, but still, she can kind of see how someone could get there. So they're off to Amy's house to get the spell book. Tell Xander and Willow to stay behind and keep an eye on Amy in the science lab. We see that Amy's mom is eating a plate of brownies, which we know Amy loves. See Giles' car here, which I love. We have some more slip-ups from Amy's mom.
We need to talk to you about your daughter.
I'm not allowed. You'll have to come back later.
So obviously something's not right.
This girl is very sick. Now you will shut up and you will listen to me.
Oh, I love protective Giles. He cares about her so much, and we see that here. I mean, he's so protective of her. He doesn't want anything to happen to her. He is her watcher, and she's the slayer, and it's his job to try and keep her as safe as possible. But also, I think that he's really starting to, care about her. And he's really he seems like a father here. We know that Buffy's father's kind of out of the picture right now, so I just love how he kind of seems like a father figure to her already in the 3rd episode of the show.
It's not my fault she's doing stuff.
As her mother, you should assume some responsibility for her actions.
Well, these kids today.
I just think that the acting is really great here. I love what she did in this role. You see on Buffy's face that she is putting it all together between what her mom is saying, the brownies, and not caring about cheerleading.
Amy? She switched your bodies, didn't she?
So I love that. I love that Buffy realizes that and notices that and puts it together before Giles does. I mean, Giles hasn't been spending a lot of time with Amy like Buffy has, but...
She said I was wasting my youth. So she took it.
Again, I love the acting here. I don't know, I just think that the actress did a really great job playing a really scared teenager. And then we see at the end of the episode how she plays like the opposite of that, but I love it. And it's such a classic thing that we see here. Mothers who think that their daughters are wasting their youth and they miss theirs so much. And they think that their daughters aren't living life the way that they think that they should be. And they wish that they could be that age again. Or that they could kind of take control of their life. And in this case, that's literally what she did.
She was always coming down on me and telling me I didn't deserve to have it so easy and that I didn't know how hard it was to be her. And I guess she showed me, huh?
It's kind of like a really sinister Freaky Friday thing that they've done here. So she's been like this for a few months, and then we see that Giles latches onto a key piece of info when he heads upstairs. And then we have the cat jumping out here, which we will see for a while in the opening credits. So Giles finds the spell book, and Buffy's not doing very well. And then we see that Giles picks up Buffy. So I like the twist here and the plot here. It's a little simple, kind of, I guess. I really like it. We have the mother who wants to relive her youth, thinks that her daughter is wasting her youth. I really like it. I think the acting is great, like I said, and I think the acting on Amy's part is great too. And I think that it's also an idea that a lot of people can connect to.
We'll have a few minutes left.
Giles is really up on the very specific timeline they've got going here. Amy's mom is just having the time of her life. Although we just see, Amy's really squeamish, but her mom is obviously not. Amy's mom seems to be seeing what Amy sees, so I guess the switch or the spell that Giles is doing is starting to work. This is also the first time that we ever see Giles doing a spell. And then Amy's mom is starting to show her true colors. She runs to the lab, and then Amy knows that she's coming.
I know this really good cauldron. Do you actually ride a broom?
And while Xander sneaks up behind her to knock her out, I guess. I like seeing Willow and Xander doing their part to help Buffy. And I guess they did buy some time for Buffy and Giles, just showing that they are useful and they're part of the gang and all that. We also see how strong Amy's mom is, the magic that she can use. And then Giles seems to have to, boil his hands for the spell. His pain is an element of the spell. Don't like it. We had this whole thing before Amy's mom could move people with her mind, but now she can't unlock a door with her mind. So she just uses an axe to break into the room, which is also a thing you can do, I guess. So Giles manages to reverse the spells. Amy and her mom are back in their right bodies, and then Amy's mom attacks Buffy. But anyways, I think the actress does a great job of now acting like a scary mommy villain here now.
How dare you raise your hand to your mother?
And Amy is now the scared teen girl.
I'm going to put you where you can't make trouble again.
It's so sinister what she does. We're going to see at the end of the episode what she does, but it's so sinister. She does that to her own daughter.
I feel better.
Which is a great moment, but also Amy's mom, you have magic. Use your magic. And Buffy, stop talking, this lady has magical powers. And Buffy uses her quick thinking to knock down the mirror, which I guess bounces the spell back onto Amy's mom herself. I mean, it's quite the gamble though. How did she know that was gonna work? Even think of that? I don't know, maybe her instincts, her Slayer instinct, I guess. I mean, I'm glad. I love that moment. I love how it shows, again, Buffy's quick thinking and how smart she is, which we've seen many times in this episode already. And, we've also seen in the last couple episodes, too. We had this very witchy horror movie scream thing from Amy's mom, which is also a shot that we see in the opening credits a lot. And the scream, I think, is even in the opening credits, too, kind of a little bit. And I always miss the scream in later seasons. We watch the theme song, and, when that person's not in it anymore, I'm like, but where's where's the scream that you can hear? And apparently Giles has just been knocked out during this whole battle. The first of many, many times that Giles would be knocked out during events. Apparently this is Giles' first casting, and I think he did a really, really good job for his first one. Later on we learned that maybe it wasn't, but as of right now, it was, and he did a really good job.
Well, I didn't think you'd pull it off.
And I don't know, I always wonder, is she just being kind of lighthearted and jokey here, or are we seeing that she's just, a tiny bit more like her mother than we thought she was? And then Xander mistakenly tries to save Buffy. I love that Willow comes storming in with a baseball bat.
Where is she?
Hey, Willow.
Although it really took them a long time to get there. They were right behind Amy's mom. I don't know what they were doing, but... And then we see Buffy and Joyce together again, and she's really trying to think of how to relate to Buffy.
You're 16. I think there's a biological imperative whereby I can't understand you because I'm not 16.
Which I think is really true. We always seem to forget what it's like to be a certain age. I mean, especially being a teenager, but any age really. As much as we can remember back to that time, our brain just can't go back to the way that our brain was then, and so we'll never be able to see it the same way, which is obviously part of the reason why parents never completely understand their kids or their teens.
Do you ever wish you could be 16 again?
Oh, that's a frightful notion. Go through all that again? Not even if it helped me understand you.
So Joyce is very much different from Amy's mom. Buffy really appreciates that. Joyce doesn't in any way want to steal Buffy's youth, and she doesn't even think that Buffy's wasting her youth at all either. She's comfortable with who she is. And I love that about Joyce. So Amy seems to be living with her dad now, and he has some real guilt about leaving her with her mom, as he should, I think. Amy's also dressing very differently than we've seen her dress in the rest of the episode, because it's her now and she's dressing more like her and herself, which is very opposite of the clothes that her mother wore as her. And, they are very tight skirts and stuff like that. And I really love Buffy's outfit here. Oh, God, I love the whole thing. I love the dress. I love the boots. Even, the hair, the bag. It's all fantastic. And Amy's really happy to be living with her dad, so I guess, something good came out of this whole situation. I mean, and, her mom was evil and her mom's gone now, so that's good too.
I know that I'll miss the intellectual thrill of spelling out words with my arms.
So cheerleading is obviously not Amy's thing at all.
That last spell, she said I'd never make trouble again. Whoever she is, I don't think we'll have to worry.
And then they look at the cheerleading statue. And we see that Amy's mom is trapped inside the statue, which is just so sinister and so evil that she was going to do that to her own daughter. Like, she totally deserves it. You know, she was going to do that to her own kid. You know, so it's a terrible, terrible fate, but it's definitely one of her own design. So I like this episode. It's the first one where you have a villain that's not a vampire, saying that there isn't just one bad guy that you have to look out for. There are many, and maybe even the ones that you wouldn't suspect to be. I loved all of the dynamics in this episode, and I think overall it's just a pretty solid episode, especially for season 1. And then, you know, the title is Witch, W-I-T-C-H, but also Witch like W-H-I-C-H. Which one is it? So it's all about reliving and recapturing your youth. But in this case, it's Buffy, so that is taken very literally. And we get to see a little bit more of Buffy's relationship with her mother, how good it is in comparison to another mother-daughter relationship. Joyce is a mother who really wants what's best for her daughter, not what's best for herself. She's sacrificed a lot for her, which is contrasted very heavily against Amy and her mom, who Amy's mom sacrificed absolutely nothing for Amy and sacrificed Amy for her. Joyce really does try to understand and connect with her daughter, no matter how she may falter. And that's something that I kind of like about the show, is that the characters are so complete and they're such whole people. They're flawed. They're not just these perfect characters. They make mistakes, but we still like them anyway. And they're more like real people. And Joyce, you know, she's not always the best mother, but she's trying, and she tries really hard to connect with her daughter, and she has good intentions. And so anyways, basically those are my thoughts on this episode, season 1, episode 3, Witch. Next episode, season 1, episode 4, Teacher's Pet, which is an episode. Thanks for watching. Do all those things that people always ask you to do at the end of their videos. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you agreed with, what you disagreed with, your thoughts on the episodes, and all of that. Thanks for watching. Bye.